Well, I'm in some mall in Flushing. It's called Skyview Mall. It seems like this is like the only place I can sit down and talk about my ideas. So I wanted to talk about context slash social context. So I had talked about Asbury back in October 2008, around October 2018. I put them together around that time, and I was talking about how people have jobs and interview, and also talking about that there's a criteria in order to actually establish the time and events so the people can have an interaction. But the problem here is that we know that the people mind are fake, right? If anyone had been following me, so was it last week, either last or 2 weeks ago or last week, I was saying to myself, so since I have an understanding of cryptography keys and simulation and emulation, I was saying to myself, something isn't right here. I talked about people having a mind that is fake, right? That, people call it an illusion, but I don't talk that way. I don't speak that way because if I use that in a sentence, it makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. And not only that, it doesn't show any good examples of my own ideas. So we know that there's people out there who's independent. An independent person is a person who have their own money, have their own apartment, have their own job, can be able to pay for their bills, can be able to go shopping on their own. But they do not have a mind of their own that tells them that there's people who actually gives them clothes. When you go shopping, right? If you go shopping in a store, you didn't create the material. Do you have information for the material? No. So I started going over what I said in 2018-19. And I started connecting them more. Especially when I started creating the concept of context. Right? They're supposed to have an understanding of the context. But why is it that the context that they get is not the context that they get from the situation? And then I question myself about the experiences. Where do the experiences come from so they can understand the situation? They never understood the message of the situation. Their experiences does not come from this environment. That's what I learned. Just like when I was talking about Versic. Versic was lecturing me about context. When I talked about experiences, they certainly got their experiences from the management program. And if the management program given the experiences, that shows me how the AI can put them in an environment. So I started saying that the people concepts are mismatched, right? Why is it that they always use a concept that is mismatched? It doesn't show any correlation between the way they thought of themselves or their environments and the places that they've been to, right? And it shows me where their mind come from. That's why when I went online and I was looking at people, was it in 2016 or 17? I was reading the online community how about this person has Alzheimer's, and he said that he went to the movie theaters before. He told his wife, "I've been to this movie theater before," but he don't understand the context of it. Where does it come from? So I understood that this place is digital. I gotta understand it. And when I use an example on it, the people just told. The first time I use it, the person was able to understand the way I talk. Second time I use it, I'm talking about the concept. When I started giving an example of technologies being able to detect that this place is digital, the person was able to understand, and he said, "Oh, maybe these are their codes or something," because no one thought of that idea. No citizen thought of that idea, right? I'm the only human being right now that thought of it, and I concentrated. My mind is still concentrated on the idea. I can still point it out, and it shows me the reason why I can point it out, because the artificial intelligence don't understand how I use that. How am I using? It doesn't understand how I use that mind at this time, more than one time. I said the idea before when I was in the shelter, and the people around me didn't know how to respond. They didn't have no language to respond back to me. They just looked at me like they were dopey. So when I was taking my general psychology course for college, and I learned that they were using concepts and theories from some person that doesn't really have a good grasp of their own idea. I started realizing that someone's putting out the concepts out there so they can actually give people a meaning of existence or a meaning of the way they behave existence. And I concentrate. But even though when I was taking the examinations, I kept getting a D minus, regardless of how many times I read the textbooks. But that was the professor's fault, because she wasn't giving enough substantial amount of information during her lectures so she could make me understand. It needs to be a good portion of information. Even the class wasn't able to have a good understanding. So I'm gonna focus on this one here. Social context. Where does it originate from? If they're not thinking of that time, where they're thinking, where does it come from?